Hello and welcome from the Andra Drag Racing Series Final. It is, of course, the Summit Racing Equipment Grand Final here at Adelaide International Raceway, and we have got a big crowd in the house ready to come out this weekend with 4 Group 1 categories: Top Fuel, Top Alcohol, Top Door Slammer, and Pro Stock. Speaking of Pro Stock, let's check out the championship board, all thanks to High Tech Oils. Lee Bektash leads on 165, followed by Joe Polito, Chris Soldatis, Bill Perdicaris, Bill Costis, and Jerry Parenti rounding out the 6. Well, Lee Bektash, of course, this is his last race event in the Andra Drag Racing Series, and he'll be taking on Chris Soldatis. Soldatis, a long history in drag racing, stepped up from super stock, then into the pro ranks quite a number of years ago now. So we've got the GDO of Soldatis taking on Lee Bektash's giant-killing Dodge. And of course, Lee Bektash, he reset the track record here at Adelaide International Raceway to a 582 over the 1,000 foot in the last qualifier.
Yeah, as you touched on before, Jace, Lee, big personality, big name, big sponsor to be going out of the sport. It's a real shame, but it sounds like he's going out with a bang, resetting records, and it'll be a shame to see Lee and his crew guys not at the racetrack, but hey, the class will survive. It'll keep growing, getting bigger and better.
Now, something that we've seen with Pro Stock for many years is that adjustment, that final adjustment on the wheelie bars. Obviously, Aaron, that's all about making sure that they get the transfer of the weight right.
Yeah, these cars here are probably the most technical car as far as suspension's concerned at the drag strip. They go to the nth degree. They measure everything to 1/8 and 1/16 of an inch. They set those wheelie bars at the last minute in case we're on a different spot on the racetrack, and it's a slightly different height. So they make sure everything's perfect before these cars go down the racetrack.
Good run. Soldatis sticks with him though. 597 for Chris Soldatis and a 588 for Lee Bektash.
Yeah, not able to improve on his previous run, but nice and consistent. Almost run exactly the same. You can see there, Lee, nice, calm, collected. Got one elbow resting there on the left-hand side. Car stayed nice and straight.
And you're right, it's an absolute shame to be seeing Lee step away from the sport. Of course, we see the qualifying results there. 582 for Bektash, Juddy Rako 591, Chris Soldatis 595, and Jerry Parenti 610. We have got some top alcohol action about to come your way right now. But before we do, let's take a look at the championship points. John Connolly leads on 185, followed by Craig Glaspie. Then Lochman, Deary, Marchant, Mags, Talbot and DeCaro all round out the 8. Well, as we can see, they're just prepping to come out for the first elimination here this afternoon. Always a great family affair here at Adelaide International Raceway. Now, let's take a look at our qualifying results again over 1,000 foot. John Connolly qualifies with a 474 and wraps up the 2016-17 championship on that run. Becky Lamb caught up with John Connolly down in the pits.
John Connolly, you are the 2017 Top Alcohol Champion. I mean, that's got a pretty good ring to it.
Yeah, it has. It's good. We've been working hard the last few years. We've had ups and downs, but it's been good.
Talk us through the setup changes of what you might have had to do from Perth only a few weeks ago to coming here this weekend.
We backed it down for the first round, but we actually went back to the setup that we had in Perth on that second qualifying session, and it would have went really fast, but we had some mechanical issues. But we'll see first round today and hopefully bring the trophy home this afternoon.
Moving now into the first round of eliminations for Top Alcohol. Moving into the left lane, Wayne Talbot out of Victoria with that nostalgic style Plymouth. And in beside him, Craig Russo out of Victoria as well with the Dodge Charger.
Talbot's car with a nostalgic looking body, but I'll tell you right now, the running gear underneath that, there's nothing nostalgic about it. It has pretty much the latest model stuff out there. Screw blower, what they call a fat head, which is a style of cylinder head on the car. Pro Mag 44. It might look old, but yeah, I'll tell you now, don't go like an old car, that's for sure.
You got the old Woody paint job on the side as well, which makes it look $1 million. Now let's have a look. We see that Talbot, in fact, qualified number 3, and Craig Russo qualified number 4. We started with 6 cars in qualifying, and we are now down to effectively 4 cars right here in the first round. Great shots coming on board from our cameras, capturing all the ambience that is here this weekend for the grand final. And I've got to say, Aaron, that crowd is starting to build.
Yeah, Jace, that's one of the reasons I love racing here. The crowd's nice and close to the racetrack. They have a great view and the place fills up. There's a heap of energy here.
Inside the car, what are these guys doing right about now?
I'll tell you what, their left foot will be shaking, that's for sure, on the clutch pedal as they get ready to build the revs up, making sure they hit the right RPM point and leave when that light goes green.
Cracker of a run. Talbot runs on through for the win. 5.19 beats Russo's 5.26.
Yeah, that's the best run Wayne's made all weekend, so it's good to see him step up and improve for his first round, and yeah, he's going through the final.
Well, you did say that the car is packing all the good gear underneath, and that just showed that exactly right then. As we look at our Garmin Verb replay, we see that he kept the butterflies well and truly open all the way to the stripe. Now, the man that has now wrapped up his second Top Alcohol Championship, John Connolly, about to come forward in the Nova LED funny car. That camera really gives you the bird's eye view, like you're a driver of one of these cars.
Yeah, no, they're a hell of a thing to drive. They're short, they're overpowered, to be honest, but they're a handful, and John does a great job of getting this race car down the racetrack. He's driven these things. I reckon John's been in an alcohol funny car for about 7 or 8 years now, so he's pretty much a veteran in the class.
Well, of course, his father used to run, I think, modified, and both the Connolly boys, they are indeed drag racing tragics. They are through and through addicted to this sport, as we said before. John in the funny car here in Top Alcohol, Paul in Top Door Slammer. Now, John is to face this man right here, Brian Lochman, in this 32 Bantam-Alton.
Yeah, underneath the bodies, these two cars basically the same. Chassis is the same, wheelbase is the same, drivelines the same. But John's got that body on top of his car that's going to help with a lot of downforce and keep that car stuck to the racetrack.
Aaron, interesting to note that Lochman, no burnout for him.
No, he must have had some issues, started the car a little bit late, and obviously he's decided he hasn't got enough time to do a burnout, so he's just going to stage the car.
Well, things not going picture perfect and to plan for neither Lochman or Connolly. Connolly will take the win there, runs on through with a non-representative 6.40.
Yeah, John's got away with that one for free for sure. He left the start line, headed straight to the centre line. Car shook the tyres and he shut it off, doing the smart thing. But Brian obviously probably still has wet tyres from rolling through that water. He's just going to stage a car and hope Connolly does something wrong and maybe get himself through to the final, but wasn't to be this day.
John Connolly, it's been a pretty good day for you so far. Round 1 and taking home the win. You've only got one more race to go.
Yeah, it was good. It wasn't what we expected. We sort of underestimated that racetrack just then, and we just underpowered it. But we'll hop it up for the next round.
The guys are working on the car now. What are they actually doing to improve the race for the next?
Well, we change clutches every round. We put a fresh pack in it, and they'll service it all, make sure it's all good, and put a bit more clutch in it and put a bit more power out of it, see how we go.
We've already seen the final qualifier from Pro Stock. Now we move into round 1. and it's down to the business end of the deal.
Yeah, business is definitely where it's at for these cars. People have compared the price of running a pro stock car to a top fuel car, surpassing top alcohol and top door slammer. Just a testament to that is through the week I found out that a brand new set of Penske rear shocks, they're electronically controlled for one of these cars, is $20,100 US. So by the time you pay for them, pay GST, convert the dollar, freight them here, they're going to owe you $30,000 to $35,000 for a pair of rear shocks. Definitely not like your local Predator store, that's for sure.
Wow, that is absolute insanity. But again, it's all about the championship chase. Chris Soldatis and Jody Rayco about to go head-to-head right here in round one. Rayco in this beautiful Holden Monaro, of course, still sporting the Diamond T custom toolbox livery. And then beside him, Chris Soldatis with that beautifully prepped Pontiac GTO.
A lot of people also wonder why these guys sit around on the start line for so long. It appears that they're mucking around and just doing stuff unnecessary. Most of these guys want to leave at a low engine temperature and a high oil temperature to make maximum horsepower. So you see a lot of the guys that sit there and all they're doing is toggling switches, turning water pumps on and off and trying to get their oil temp to build up so they can make as much power as possible. So they're not doing anything wrong. A lot of the time it's not tactics, sometimes it is, but most of the time it's about making as much horsepower as they can. And simple things like engine temperature make a huge difference to these engines.
Well, as they bring these cars into stage, they will be making sure that they are meticulously placed on the start line, as Aaron said, to make sure that they get the ultimate traction. Huge hole shot from Chris Soldatis, an 0.44. He gets to the stripe first with a 6.15, although Jody Rayco was catching him and had the quicker time.
Yeah, Rayco had the car to win the race. Unfortunately, left that race on the start line. Soldatis went 0.44, which is respectable pro stock time reaction times. But, the other lane, I think it was a 1.40 something. That's just not going to cut it in pro stock, unfortunately.
Now, Lee Bektash in his final hurrah to take on Jerry Parenti.
Yeah, Parenti there with his chute coming out in the burnout. That's they're either going to have to get that packed really, really quick. But unfortunately, Parenti's he's reversing over his own parachute. I have seen that many times. The drivers don't realise that they come out in a little bit of tyre shake, pops the pin out, chute ends up on the ground, and the driver ends up backing over the chutes, and there's nothing you can do about it. I haven't actually ever seen a crew member get a chute packed on the start line and see a driver make a race, but they all try every single time.
Well, commiserations to Jerry Parenti. He did have the little side mirrors on there, but he just couldn't see the fact that his chute was draped out behind him. Well, that means that Lee Bektash is going to get the ideal finish to his career here in Andra drag racing. He's going to go to the final and he will face Chris Soldatis. But before that happens, he has got a run to make for us. Remembering that he has run a track record here this weekend of a 5.82.
Yeah, well, Lee now knows he's got a freebie here, so he's going to be trying as hard as he can to lower that ET even more and set him up for a good position to go into the final.
We touched on before the professionalism of this team, the livery. I mean, the car looks an absolute $1,000,000. It's a stunner where it sits down there, and it is a real shame to see Lee departing from the sport. Well, Lee Bektash will win the championship right there on that run here in round one. So congratulations going to Lee. As we see Jerry Parenti's chute shaking loose here on the Garmin Verb replay and then ultimately getting the shutdown from his crew chief.
Yeah, that's a real shame, but Lee has that car set up perfect. This thing runs dead straight. He hardly has to steer the car down a racetrack. He's got it dialed in. He was really going to have to be on top of his game to beat Lee there.
Victor Bray, king of the burnouts, coming through right now. And of course, he has got that solo run, which will take him straight through to the finals. So we'll see just what sort of time Victor can put down because he's going to have all guns blazing coming into the finals.
He is, but I tell you what, look at this guy. He is so calm and relaxed in the car. He's got one hand resting over there, does the burnout. It's like it's no big deal to Victor at all. He's probably made more runs in a door slam, and especially a 57 Chevy, than anybody else in this sport, that's for sure. But hey, experience, you're not going to beat it. And Victor's calm. You've got to be calm in these cars. You can't be hyped up. You see some drivers get themselves a bit hyped up and they're banging their head around in the roll cage before it starts. But as soon as those cars start, everybody calms down, that engine fires up, all your nerves go away, you're ready to race.
Now, something that a lot of people might not be aware of is Victor's been working very hard on his physical being over the past 12 months, and we can see right there with that in-car shot that he is a former shadow of himself. And I think, of course, as a race car driver, under these kinds of pressures, that's got to be great for him.
Yeah, definitely. When it's your full-time job, you've got sponsors to impress. That's going above and beyond right there, what Victor's achieved in the last 12 months.
Well, Victor's left. Accepted the green and driving on through rather slow. Remembering that he qualified with a 6.30, then ran 5.24. And if he's going to have any kind of problem, that's the race to have it in.
Yeah, definitely. He had that freebie there so he could try whatever, but he's had a similar fate that Ben did last round, breaking a blower belt. Could be an issue that team's starting to have.
Good strong burnout from John Zappia. And his competitor is going to be Rob Taylor with the Mad Professor Camaro rolling in beside him. So again, we know that John Zappia has not only wrapped up the 10th consecutive championship. If there's one man that's certainly wanting to go all the way to the final, because he is on a massive win streak at the moment. I think he's 4 events that he's won. And he's around 13, I think, at this stage for race wins. So John will want to keep that sort of momentum going.
He will, definitely, but it only takes the guy behind you who's a little bit more hungrier, a little bit more aggressive to take it away from you. It's happened to me before. You get out there, start winning quite a few races. Not that you get complacent, but you just get comfortable, and there's always someone behind you trying just as hard that wants to get out there and kick your butt.
Let's have a look back to round 1. It was an 0.93 reaction from Rob Taylor and a 0.439 reaction from John Zappia. Zappia is going to have to try and get a lot sharper on the tree.
Yeah, Zapp will definitely sharpen that up. He had a solo in the first round, so he wouldn't have been trying real hard. He might have been trying something new, but yeah, these two guys are going to battle it out. It'll be a good race.
Well, as far as the state of origin, WA taking on Victoria this weekend. Of course, the Victorian, Taylor and Zapp from the West. Zapp steps up to the plate, no doubt about it. An 0.78 reaction, and he runs on through 4.89 for the win over the 5.11 of Rob Taylor.
Yeah, this thing's as consistent as a modified car. It just goes 480, 480, 480. John's doing a great drive job in the car. Obviously, he's repeating the same thing every lap, and the car's obviously set up pretty much the same most laps. Don't think he's changing a whole lot. He knows he's a long way ahead of everybody else, so if he's comfortable, he'll leave the car where it is.
We've also got to give top props to Rob Taylor and his team there, running low 5s, going to the semis in just his 2nd event back. Let's have a look at the race ladder now. We will see Victor Bray, 6 times Australian champion, taking on the newly crowned 10 times champion of John Zappia.
Crocam's Pit Report. I'm here with Victor Bray. Victor, you're into the final for Top Door Slammer. Talk me through the final run.
No, it's going to be pretty tough. Obviously, John Zappia is the toughest guy in door slam the country's ever sort of seen, I suppose. So, and he's very, very consistent. So, but saying that, anyone's beatable any one day. The track's actually cooling and the weather's getting very, very cool. So the engines are going to be extremely powerful. It'll be a matter of control on that and adjusting to the track surface. So as the track cools, the traction's a little bit less, especially down through the top end of the track. So, I'll get a good chat with Ben and the crew. We've made some changes that we think might work. I don't know if we can outrun John blatantly if he does a good pass, but we want to be there in case something goes, a haywire in his lane or something, because it's the same for him. It's he's got to dial into the track like we do. But yeah, the weather's coming good. The engines are going to make tons and tons of power, and good crowd in here in Adelaide tonight. So it's going to be good. Got a lot of fans here too, which is fantastic.
Well, we've got some top fuel exhibition passes about to come our way here at the Summit Racing Equipment Grand Final.
Interesting fact this weekend, seeing those guys have brought two of their older cars down. Not 100% sure why they did that. When I say old, they're definitely not old by any means, just older than the two current cars they're running now. But these two are the two fastest cars in Australia. The car on the left has gone 450 with Larry Dixon in it, and the car on the right has gone 451 with Scott Collitter on it in Sydney 6, 7, maybe even 8 years ago now. Both good cars, very proven, good combinations. This will be an interesting race to see who gets there first.
Of course, behind the wheels, we've got Noobs, and he'll be taking on this man, Damien Harris. So both cars and both drivers coming out of the Rapisada Autosport International team. Check out the backdrop there. Now, you're a top fuel driver, Aaron. Sitting in one of these cars, looking at a packed house like that, that's just got to be the bee's knees.
Yeah, it does. It does pump you up, but then you snap out of it because you can hear the engine going in the background. You've got to realise you concentrate on what you're doing. But yeah, it is a good feeling, especially when you're towing the car around, the car's not running yet, and you look up and you see how many people are. It's a really big ego boost, and it really pumps you up and gets you ready for a run. Damien left a bit early there, Redley, but his car had a hole out at the step, and he got down there and got to about half track and started to smoke the tyres. He probably didn't have enough power to drive through the clutch, but still a good, respectable run.
Check out that shot from the wall, and check out how loose we saw Damien Harris get right there.
Yeah, it surprisingly doesn't feel that bad in a drag, so it always looks a lot worse than what it is, but they're quite calm. I find them reasonably easy to control to some extent, but yeah, outside the car, looking in, the car always looks a lot worse than what it really is.
Well, Wayne Newby runs on through 420 to the 432 from Damien Harris. Welcome back to the Summit Racing Equipment Grand Final here at the Adelaide International Raceway. We have got finals, and finals coming your way. And of course, first up, it's going to be Pro Stock with what will be Lee Bektash's final run in Andra drag racing. And it is a very sad occasion.
Yeah, it is, but in saying that, do you know how many times I've seen guys retire and come back? So hopefully in a few years we'll see Lee back. But for the moment, this is it. This is going to be the last pass of this, Lee, and possibly this car, mate. So I'm not sure of the future plans for this car, but we'll see where it ends up.
Well, moving in beside Lee will be Chris Soldatis. So the pair of Victorians about to do battle here in SA. The Dodge Avenger, it'll take on the Pontiac GTO. And of course, we've got an absolute cracker. When we look at their qualifying, we saw that it was indeed Lee Bektash, number one qualifier. And I think Chris Soldatis qualifying back in number 3.
Yeah, Lee's running unreal this weekend. And so he should. One thing I've noticed about Adelaide, every time I've raced here, the air conditions are better than anywhere I've ever raced in the country. When we come here with the top fuel cars, we actually have to back the engine tune-ups right down to a point where we don't go that far at any other racetrack, just because the air conditions are so good. The barometric pressure's right up, the density altitude's way down, so it's perfect conditions for these engines to make big horsepower. These days I've heard claims anywhere from about 1,170 to 1,220 horsepower, 400 cubic inches, naturally aspirated through 2 carburetors. They're unreal power numbers, and this is a place they're going to make the most.
Well, so good to see that half of Adelaide's population have come out to the track tonight, because that is an absolute killer crowd in the house to witness this special occasion. The grand final, the finale of all finales for 2016 and 2017's Drag Racing Championship. And it has all come down to this.
I spoke before about these cars taking quite a while on the start line, but this here is not an example of that. This is tactics. This is both guys burning each other down. Both engines are going to start getting hot. They're going to make less and less horsepower. It's usually a competition to see who goes in first to try and put the other racer off.
Soldatas had the whole shot. The chutes come out early, and it is Bektash takes the win. 583. What a fairy tale finish for Lee Bektash and Team Mopar.
Yeah, hey, those tactics played off there for Soldatas. He did beat Lee off the start line. He had a good half a tenth on him, but unfortunately Lee just had the better race car, which he's had all day.
I think, we couldn't have put on a better show. My team, we did a fantastic job. We did 6 passes, all in the 80s. We were running the spare motor, and yeah, just really overwhelming to go out here, win the last race of my pro stock career at Adelaide. I know it's only been a small field, but a win's a win, and the championship top qualifier. But the highlight for me is just running those 80s. That's probably 6 of the best passes that this team's ever put together, and I'm just glad we rewarded the crowd.
Congratulations to Lee Bektash winning the round and the championship, and of course in his farewell Andra tour, we certainly wish him the best. Chris Soldatas and Joe Polito round out the top 3 here in the 2016-2017 Pro Stock Championship. Top door slammer final coming at us with John Zappia and Victor Bray. And Aaron, I know we've said it 100 times, but the facts are the facts. These guys have raced each other probably more than any other top door slammer combination in drivers anywhere in the world.
Yeah, as far back as the Wild Bunch days and in the early days of door slammer, it was these two. There was nobody else. I wouldn't say there may as well have been no one else, but these two were the main guys in the category. They faced off more times than I can remember. It's going to be another interesting battle once again.
We did touch base on their championship wins. This man, John Zappia, 10 consecutive championships. The man beside him, Victor Bray, has 6 championships to his name.
Yeah, now both guys with more than a handful, a basket full of wins to each of them. This race could be anybody's. John's been in form for quite a few years now. But like I said before, Victor is starting to catch back up. He's really starting to get back on top of his game.
I got to tell you, I just got chills. The crowd standing on their feet. How awesome was that? So, John Zappia, he'll want to wrap it up and keep that consecutive win that we spoke about before, that win streak. He'll want to keep ticking along and try and do everything to beat Victor Bray here in the final.
Yeah, but Victor's doing everything he can too. He's got Ben out in front, making sure the car's dead straight, exactly in the marks where he wants to be. I tell you what, I don't think anyone wants to win a race as much as Ben and Victor want to win this right now.
Well, as I said earlier, check out the crowd. They're on their feet for this final. Here in Top Door Slammer. Advantage to Bray off the start line, but it's going to be Zappia all the way. 486 beats the 513 from Team Bray and Gulf Western Oil. So the Fuchs Lubricants HQ Monaro gets the job done well and truly.
Yeah, been a bit of controversy between these two teams this year, so awesome battle to end the year. Great run by John. Victor cut him on the start line, beat him on the tree, which is good to see. And by the first round in Darwin, he's won the whole championship. He's won 5 out of 6. I think it's 15 round wins. It doesn't get any better than that.
What can I say? We've been undefeated in Andra Championship racing since Alice Springs in July last year, and it's just been a dream run. 10 championships. The sponsors that have been behind me, my crew, done a wonderful job. They just work their butts off and do whatever's required. We had the new CP conrods in the car this weekend, and they performed faultlessly. There's so many people to thank, but it's just been an awesome build up to this, and what a way to finish the season.
So 10 consecutive titles for John Zappia, and of course he is on a 15-win streak. Mark Balleri, Ben Bray, Grant O'Rourke, Sam Fennick, Victor Bray and Paul Connolly, along with Scotty McLean there in number 8, round out the championship for 2016-2017. We have got Top Alcohol coming our way for the final here at the Summit Racing Equipment Grand Final. It'll be this man, John Connolly, to take on Wayne Talbot.
Yeah, John might be the favourite in this race. He's run a lot faster. He's got a later model body car, but hey, Wayne's going to be out there trying as hard as he can. I've been working with him a little bit outside of this, just helping him with a few things, trying to step his combination up, and yeah, he's got a lot of help from a lot of good people, and hey, hopefully he can turn it on and really throw it at John.
Well, once again, this massive crowd here at Adelaide International Raceway are on their feet as we see some sights that we normally wouldn't see. Wayne Talbot, the shot from inside. And, of course, he's relying purely upon that backup person in front of him.
Yeah, it's a very different thing backing up a funny car for the first time, or any drag racing car, you know, open car, altered, drag stuff, funny car. You got no mirrors. You're going backwards based on exactly that, the person in front of you with their arm in the air, and it's a little bit of a hard thing to get used to. And for quite a while, I used to have to back up from just like where I finished in the burnout all the way back. And after about a year, I got used to it, and I could back up 2/3 of the way on my own, and someone would come in front and just guide me back to the last 30 or 40 feet. But yeah, a lot of guys still need someone to back them up the whole way, and it is a hard thing to get used to doing.
Well, we saw a moment ago John's wife Kirsten with the backup duties. And this man on screen looking to be the spoiler of all things celebratory for Team Connolly. Wayne Talbot checking out the crowd by the look of that, by the look of the eyes. So, John Connolly brings on the pre-stage. Waiting ever so patiently with that pre-stage on until he sees Talbot bring him on. Well, I've got to say, that looked purely like Wayne Talbot left before the actual Christmas tree was activated.
Yeah, he's gone into stage there, and he's either had an electrical problem with the trans brake in his car, or, as I have had in the past, a bit of a brain fade. You're in the final, you're a bit amped up, you're trying to cut as good of a light as you can, and he's just made a mistake, one of the two.
Well, effectively, that has given John Connolly the win for the event, the grand final, and of course he's wrapped up the championship as well. And John Connolly takes home his second championship in top alcohol, followed by Lochman, Talbot, Glaspie, Maggs, Russo, Ambesi, and Aaron Deary rounding out the top 8. Moving into Top Fuel Exhibition, it is the second pass of the night, and we've got the Rapasada Autosport International team in the house, putting down pass after pass. Of course, we've got Wayne Newby and we've got Damien Harris. You've raced against both these guys a few times now.
Yeah, I've made quite a few passes against both these guys when we were in Top Alcohol and now in Top Fuel. Forget the drivers for a minute. I've got to make note of the boys here, Santo and Santino Rapasada, Sano's two sons. At the ripe old age of 21, they are probably the most experienced and seasoned crew chiefs this country has right now. They've been to America, they've raced a whole bunch of times, they've been successful, they've ran 370s with their race car, they've had world-renowned drivers in their cars, they prepare and run. I've seen them run up to 4 cars at a race meeting. You've got to take your hats off to these guys. They're putting a huge effort in along with the rest of the crew. The 2 guys in the cars, they're just the spacer between the steering wheel and the engine.
Well, it is all in memory of Louis Rapasada, of course, Santo Rapasada's eldest son, who unfortunately left us back in the mid-1980s. And all of his racing is always dedicated to the memory of Louis. So, with that said, can we see these boys run some very staunch low 4.2s? Candles are lit all the way. Here at Adelaide International Raceway, let's have a look. It'll be Newby, 4.23, beats his teammate Damien Harris with a 4.29.
Yeah, killer run. Both cars, candles lit, hooked up. They've run flat out. What a way to end the season. Unreal run for both cars, neck and neck. Wayne got there first, good to see.
Well, as you mentioned, the candles were lit from start to finish for the 2 uplift crane cars. And what a shot this is. Nitro burning top fuel dragsters, there's nothing like them on the planet.
It was awesome to come down here with both the Rapasada cars and put on a great show for the crowd, and hope they all enjoyed it.
I certainly did. What's been one of the highlights you've had here this weekend?
Oh, I think just obviously racing Wayne and 3 good clean laps, you know, flames out every lap, so the crowd got an absolute great show. So that's for me, it's what it was about.
That wraps up the Summit Racing Equipment Group 1 Grand Final and brings to a close the 2016-17 Andra drag racing season. On our next show, we'll wrap up all the action from the Summit Racing Equipment Sportsman Series. On behalf of myself, Jason B, my thanks to Aaron Hambridge for all of his technical insights throughout the season. We look forward to seeing you next time.